Okay, welcome to At the Kitchen Table. I'm Judy of
Hello.
Divina Cucina here in Florence, and my guest today is Sharon Oddson, originally of Garga. That's probably how a lot of people know you.
Yeah, that's how most. Oh my goodness. Hold on a second. Ali. Sorry about this. This is a bottle of wine just popped the cork and it went all over my floor.
It's celebrating. It's a party.
Can you take care of that? My son is here. He can do that. I can't believe it.
This is awful. Stop relaxing.
Anyway, that's a good way to start an interview.
Start the party, huh?
Party's here. Boom. Okay, everybody mostly knows me from Trattoria Garga because we had with our family the restaurant from 1979 right up until 2006, 2000 and what, 19? Anyway, for about 40 years. So most of Florence knows me from Trattoria.
Isn't that amazing? How old is Ali?
Ali is now, he was born in 1978, so this May he's going to be 42. And my oldest son, his brother, Andrea, will be 50 this year.
Oh my God, that's impossible, right?
I know. My oldest granddaughter is turning 20 this year. So
Ooh, that hurts.
well, it seems impossible.
But you haven't changed at all, Sharon.
Of course not. It's the olive oil. It's the vino.
Don't you feel that's true though? Don't you feel younger than our grandmothers were?
Yeah, I do. I do, definitely. And, I lived with a mother-in-law for 30 years. And sometimes when I first got married, she was only 60 years old. But she
Wow.
seemed to me to be an older person then. When I think of, I was 60, 11 years ago. So it really, the perception of age, I think, has really changed in all over the world.
Of course, we didn't live through a war either, right?
No. Well, as in, I think my mother-in-law's case or my grandparents, it was two wars, two world
Yeah,
wars.
exactly.
Yeah.
So for the people that don't know you, why don't you just like introduce yourself, like where you come from?
So I originally came from Canada in 1970. What took me to Europe was the wanderlust. I really wanted to see the world, so I decided with a friend of mine, we just got up and went. First, we went to Switzerland, which sounded less threatening to my family. I think it sounded like a safer place. And from Switzerland, I went on to Denmark, where my mother's family is from. In fact, we have a very distant relative, Dorte, with us today. And from Denmark, we had a big family reunion in Denmark with my grandparents' family. And we all came to Italy for a trip. That was part of the family reunion.
Uh-huh.
And when I came to Florence, well, the trip with my grandparents in Italy, it was with a Norwegian tour company. That's a whole story in itself.
Did you
Anyway,
speak
then
Norwegian?
huh?
Do you speak
No, but my
Norwegian?
grandparents speaking Danish and my mother speaking Danish, they didn't have any problem with the Norwegian. It's very similar to Danish. But then I went with my mother alone to Florence, and there was something about Florence that just, I don't know, it embraced me, it enveloped me, it fascinated me, and I really did not want to go home to Canada, so I begged my mother to let me stay, and she said as long as I enrolled in school. So I had done fine arts in Winnipeg, so I enrolled in the Accademia di Belle Arti for foreigners course right here in, well, to give everybody an idea where the David is kept. So that was a very cool school. Then 6 months later, I met the man who was going to become my husband of 30 years, Giuliano Gargani, also known as Garga. 1979. In the meantime, we had two kids. Then in 1979, we opened up the first location of the restaurant. And the rest is sort of history. Been here ever since. Always.
Now, was it a restaurant there before? Or
No.
did you create it?
Well, when we first started out, there was a tiny eatery right on the corner of Via del Moro and Via dei Palchetti, very near where the famous Trattoria Latini is. And that was a little eatery run by Mr. Ottavio, who it was for the artisans, for the restorers. Via del Moro was a big street of restoration for antique dealers. And they often students, it was very inexpensive. And at that time we had a butcher shop, and Mr. Ottavio was one of our customers. And when he retired, we decided to take over his little establishment, and that started our way onto the world of gastronomy, so to speak.
But so your husband was a butcher first?
Giuliano trained as a butcher as a little boy, one of those sort of Roberto Rossellini kind of films, you know, the little boy with short pants, even in the wintertime, being sent out to work to, you know, he was the delivery boy. And in the meantime, he learned a trade. And he was a butcher from the time he was 10 years old until he was about 21.
Wow.
The butcher shop we had at that time before we bought the restaurant, it had been the butcher shop where Giuliano trained and where he practically grew up in that area, being a very young child, you know, out working. So he knew everybody in the neighborhood. It was pretty fascinating.
I'm sending a message to someone who wants to come in. So
I can see Susie.
Susie's here now too, yeah. And my friend Nancy is coming too. So when did he decide he wanted it to be a restaurant then?
Well, it's sort of a long story. He didn't really decide. We had so many debts. Giuliano had a bit of a gambling problem. And, you know, he paid his gambling debts, but he never paid any people that were sending us the meat. So it was trying to do another business. So I practically opened the restaurant with a man who was a chef. Our partnership lasted very little, and Giuliano started getting involved in it as well. So we had the butcher shop and started the little eatery at the same time. And then after 4 months, Giuliano moved into his place in the kitchen.
Because it's always been such a magical place. I mean, it was part of the hot spot in Florence when you had to go to Garga, right?
It was for years, and we had, especially when we moved into bigger digs in 1988, we moved a wee bit down the street into a larger place. And then it became sort of one of the places to go in Florence. We started getting great international press, you know, it became sort of acclaimed in a lot of places. And then, man, was a joint jumping, I'm telling you.
Because it was such a small place too. How many seats did you have?
The first place, it was 20 seats, really cramped. Then the second place, it was probably between 50 and 60.
Oh yeah, but still, you know, you still felt very intimate when you ate there. Probably because of the painted rooms and everything.
Yeah, because it was sort of a series of smaller rooms. It was actually 3 different rooms all connected in one place, you know. And then of course all the walls were completely, every inch was painted by Giuliano, by all of our friends who were artists, myself. So it was an ongoing, almost like an art studio, because when we finished in the evening, it was painting all night long.
How fun, how fun.
Well, it kind of took a toll after a way, after a
No,
while.
I'm sure, but those are those crazy great memories though, right?
Yeah, no, it was, well, I still had the stamina for it. It was great. you know.
Yeah. And I think too, you guys are probably one of the first restaurants, probably because you're Canadian, that where you could order a single dish.
That was one of the biggest fights with Giuliano because he would insist on putting outside on the menu, we only serve complete meals. And I tried to explain a complete meal is sort of a nebulous conception. You know, it can be, what is a complete meal?
Depends where you are.
Yeah, and what you're going to eat. But that was intended in those days as the antipasto, the first course, and a main course.
Yeah.
And many places did not like to serve you only one dish. But thinking of it on a business end, I said, all you have to do is sort of raise the prices that one dish,
Exactly.
you
Raise,
know, is a
make the
dinner.
plate a little bigger and double the price.
Yeah,
'Cause you need
exactly.
so much per person. And they're good. To me, Americans drink.
Yeah, well, also, let's say our German customers, they eat the whole thing from soup to nuts. Germans
Yeah.
are big eaters. But, and Europeans in general would have at least two things. It was really, you know, most Americans, you know, the main dish was, that was the meal.
Uh-huh.
You know, that was intended as a meal.
And it's funny today now because you see so many people have switched over.
Well, I mean, Italians now, nobody eats the same as you know, going out and having three courses. Nobody can do it. And, you know, even the Italians now share a dish, which was almost unthinkable years ago. I mean, you were really looked at badly. People would serve it to you, but.
And now you can see too that, I mean, I just see all the influences too, that you guys were already ahead of the game, like a beautiful big salad, it's like a meal. You had those beautiful creative salads too that that were fabulous. And when you went to a regular trattoria, you get this really sad little lettuce.
A
Right?
salad was a little something at the end of the meal. The to think of a salad as a starter or even a main course was just not, you know, done.
Yeah,
But
it's just so funny.
Really,
and so
it was
now,
also a moment of changing over from, you know, in the early 80s, Florentines were changing from what they were buying. You were starting to see more field greens. You were starting to use avocados. It was sort of like a mini revolution. I'm just going to say goodbye to my son, Alessandro.
okay. Ciao, Ali.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you for cleaning up the mess.
Oh, how funny. And so then you guys moved over where you were cooking to, then Ali came in, right?
Yeah, Ali came in when he was around 1920, after he did his military service. And he'd always been brought up in the restaurant, and also Alex and Andrea, our older son, he was already there working full time from the time he was 18 as well. So, you know, they were really, they learned their trade in the right, you know, at their mother and father's knee, so to speak.
And what about your book? Is that still available?
I don't know. Let me show you. I've seen it still on Amazon. This has all the stories about what went on in the.
No, it's great. I loved reading about your mother-in-law.
Yeah, well, in the end, I dedicated the book to her because she was such a character. And I have to admit, being so hard on me, in a way, it did me well. You know, I learned a lot about Florence, the way Florence was, all the stories when she was a child, the stories of the war. I mean, sometimes I wanted to shoot myself after the 156th time I heard the same story, but you know.
And where did you guys live? What side of
We
town?
lived in the area where Giuliana was born, which is, well, you know where it is, Monticelli, just going from
Uh-huh.
Monticelli towards Scantici, which is, as the real Florentines who were born in the inner walls, called Fuori Porta,
Yeah.
outside the gates.
Yeah.
That was, we wanted to live in the center, but my mother-in-law refused to move from that area. She wanted to be in that area.
Isn't that funny, huh?
Yeah, she had no friends there. I don't know.
So we were talking just before we went on live too, how COVID has been. You know, I'm out in the middle of the sticks, so I've seen sheep and olive trees, but you've been lucky to be downtown Florence and see it like it was your own personal private city.
The first couple of days were absolutely eerie, you know, because it was almost like from one moment to another, there was nobody there. And people were scared, and people, you know, they had this thing, it was a lockdown, but you shouldn't be more than 200 meters from your
Yeah.
home, which was a little ridiculous, to be
Yeah,
honest.
but it was a scare tactic kind of, you know.
But living right in the historic center, we didn't feel so shut off from everything in a way. Although, I mean, it was empty and whatever, but you still had, you know, the San Lorenzo market, the Sant'Ambrogio market, the market at Licure, just a little farther away. You didn't feel oppressed by that. And of course, because there's so few people that are actually living in the historic center, there was no queuing at the grocery shops
Yeah.
or things like that, because you know, I would go early in the morning to the one on Borgo San Lorenzo. There was nobody there. You
How
know,
crazy,
everything
yeah.
was available. When, you know, I saw on television people were, you know, buying toilet paper as if, you know, it was going to go out of style and out of sale and all that, and pasta and everything. I mean, the only thing that was missing once, and this was maybe 2 or 3 weeks into the lockdown, was yeast, because
Yeah.
everybody was baking bread.
How many
So,
loaves did you bake?
oh my God, we would just eat. It was coming out of my ears. I was making Tuscan loaf, sourdough loaf, focaccia, scacciata, buns. I mean, you name it.
But were
Challah
you
bread.
doing more as like cooking therapy or because you couldn't buy them?
Oh no, you could buy everything. There was
So it's
nothing.
more like something
It
to
was
do.
something to do, cooking therapy.
Mhm.
You know, it really, and it was fun at the beginning, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it gave you something, because, I mean, well, you know, Judy, it's the same thing. From one day to another, our businesses completely shriveled up. So there was
Disappeared,
no
yeah.
work. And what are you going to do all day?
Mhm.
You know, and at first, you know, we couldn't even see the grandchildren. And
That's hard, huh?
yeah, it was kind of tough. I have to admit that Mauro's fantastic, because he was good company and we do, you know, a lot of stuff together. But then we started relaxing more.
Just
And,
kind of,
you
yeah,
know,
I kind of feel like almost we were like in a hibernation, you know?
look, this whole year, because it's been over a year,
Yeah.
it's almost as if there's been a time warp. Like, where has it gone?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just
It's
good.
a
So
misdemeanor.
you got your vaccine?
Yes, I got my first dose, because I got the AstraZeneca one. I got the first dose the 18th of April. So in the beginning of July, the booster is up.
Oh, good, good. I'm just getting so excited because I go tomorrow.
I
And
know
I
that.
guess Tuscany, I don't know if all of Italy or just Tuscany I think they got like 9,600 doses of the Johnson and Johnson.
And one
Which,
of them you're getting.
so I'm getting it. The only day available when I opened up the calendar near me was tomorrow. And then there was nothing for a month. So I said, I'm going because I just want to get the weight off my shoulders. It's just, I mean, number one, we can't really go and see anybody anyway. So I don't know. It's just a catch
No,
22.
I mean, we started having once a week Sunday lunch or dinner with the kids, with the.
Well, you've got family, you know?
Yeah, and
We really don't
because
have family.
it was sort of like, well, at first it was sort of, well, let's just kind of risk it. And because everybody was doing well, nobody was getting sick, we just, kept on with that once a week. But, it was hard for the children because they had their sports canceled. Francesca, who's in the equivalent, I think, grade 7, she was doing school from home, distance, what do they call it? There's an acronym.
Yeah.
Anyway, the same for my granddaughter, Fiammetta, who was doing the fashion school Polymoda, everything on the computer at home. I mean, these kids, I think more older people died and they really got hit, and that's a tragedy. But the young people have really lost a year, and a year at that age is a really long
time, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they'll also forget quickly.
Oh yeah, surely.
I mean, as soon as everything's back to normal.
I think we can see in a week it should be getting back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we can't stand it any longer.
Yeah, the thing I don't get is everyone, of course, have you gotten like 6 million requests already for like, when can we come back? When can we come back? From Americans. I keep getting 6 million emails because of the announcement that came out saying Italy's opening up, but it's not opening.
Von der Leyen came up with saying the UE was opening up, but they didn't give an exact date to it. However,
and the thing is, like if I get vaccinated tomorrow and I get one shot, then technically I should get, they're going to create like a vaccine card or something.
Yeah, after 3 weeks, you're eligible to the COVID pass, I think they call it.
Yeah, and then I could travel, but half of Italy, more than half of Italy hasn't been vaccinated. Like all the people working in restaurants and hotels, all the people that are under 50,
No, they're not going to start the under 50, I think, for another month or so.
Yeah, I heard in Rome they're starting the 50-year-olds, which is good. But the whole thing is like all the workers won't be vaccinated. So if people are coming in, everyone still has to wear their masks anyway. But what I just read was Italy is still on like the Americans saying don't travel there, it's unsafe because we're not vaccinated. Like at the beginning when first everyone started saying you can't go here, you can't go there because it's breaking out. Well, that's still kind of holding true but people are coming and people travel back and forth for work. I have friends who have double passports who are moving back for 6 months. So it's an odd situation, I think.
No, I think who's vaccinated will be able to come because I don't understand why people would think if they're vaccinated, why it would be dangerous to come to Italy. They're vaccinated.
No, but it's just the United States. When they give you travel alerts? They're just saying that, we haven't reached that point where, what do they call that? The herd something.
Well, we're not going to even do that, but that's even, that's the herd thing is almost a myth in a way. You're not ever going to reach that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of China is back to normal, even where the virus started, and they have a very low percentage of people that are vaccinated. What they did was have these ferocious lockdowns. Nobody could move out of their homes, and the virus didn't spread. And that's how they took care of that.
Yeah.
Because the percentage of people that are vaccinated in China I think there's only maybe 200,000 people vaccinated out of, like 1 billion people. So it's less than 1%.
So also I want to know, like, what was your favorite, like, things to cook while you were in COVID? Did you get any cravings?
No, I think it was just eating too much. It was starting in the morning. What are we going to make for lunch? Then at lunchtime, we'd have a discussion of what we were going to cook for dinner. While we were having dinner, we were planning the meals for the next day. So
But it was like stimulating, right? It was like I had
no,
Andrea
no,
help
it,
me.
it was. And, I like cooking. For me, it's therapeutic. So it relaxes me, it calms me down. So cooking things, and really everything was available. What the only thing I sort of missed was going out for sushi.
Yeah. How funny. Yeah. I was almost going to buy some stuff and make my own the other day.
I was tempted too because I got a sushi mat for Christmas. So, and then I thought, nah. No.
I can wait.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
some things I think are so special. I know, like in Florence too, there's things that we go out for, like fried fish or the big steak over the barbecues.
However, the steak over the barbecue. Okay, that I missed because that you cannot make in an apartment. You have to go where, and especially in the country over a wood fire, not
Yeah.
even, that I really miss. Going out for sitting in the country, having a big slab of red meat and a whole bottle of wine, and maybe somebody else would drive.
Exactly. Or take a nap, a place to take a nap.
Uh, No, but other cravings, not really. I was started doing a lot of different ethnicities, a lot of Asian food, and just sort of having fun and playing with that a little bit.
Yeah, I finally found, well, because I couldn't go to Florence, I usually go down for all my Asian stuff. And I found a site and it was in Torino. And I ordered like masa harina to make tortillas. And I ordered, I don't even know how to say it, that Korean chili paste, gochi something or other.
Yeah.
It's like tomato paste and chili together. And I ordered it and it came the next day. It was amazing. I was really thrilled. So it has all this international food. So I thought, well, that's easy.
Being here in the center, you can get all of that because there's so many little Asian markets that now, the only thing that you really can't get is like fresh kaffir lime leaves.
Yeah.
But you can get the dry ones. So, and the other things you can get almost everything.
Yeah, I actually at the Vivi market one time bought lemongrass. And to me, it looked
you can get it at San Lorenzo, the Indonesians, they have it all the time. They've had it for years.
I was blessed being right in front of the market there. You can get almost everything. You get okra and the chilies and the different kinds of potatoes. And there's so many, immigrant markets now in the market too, but that closes it too. So if I was in Florence after that, I would go to Vivi Market, and I got the lemongrass and I thought, maybe I should try to see if I can grow this. And it looked kind of dry, but I put it in a glass of water and I have 4 plants in my backyard now that are.
Yeah, my friend Gabby Vinciata, she's growing it now. She's even growing a little kaffir lime tree. And it's working. Or, well, I don't have a garden, but you can even freeze it.
Yeah. And I just bought, my little, I don't know what you call them, the little farm shops down at the village. I just found cilantro seeds. So I just planted cilantro.
I've tried it in a pot and it doesn't work.
No, I have it in the pot. I grew it last year because I had some seeds with me.
Well, here is my little city balcony. I don't know what it is. It won't, it gets to a certain point.
And then it flowers.
Yeah, it flowers and I even pinch off the tops of the things, but it just kind of then disappears. Gets all brown.
We'll see. I've seen people growing it, of course, out in the gardens, and it's this huge, big plant. So I just let mine grow a little, and I'm chopping it off and putting it in my freezer. just so I can have it, you know?
No, but I have now. There's this guy on Via Panicale. He has really great cilantro.
Yeah, because nobody here likes it out in the countryside. So,
Well, a lot of Italians don't like it because they say it tastes soapy.
well, everybody, if they want to say they don't like it, says it tastes like soap. But that's funny. So are you still doing cooking classes online? Or did you guys
Well, we've
stop?
done a few of them online, and we're doing another one, but not until June. I think that's slowly starting to drop off now because people are really going out, getting out from all over.
Yeah, they're being able to go out to dinner now. I see restaurants in America are opening up and, everyone's getting back out there again. I still have some classes going, but I see, I have smaller groups, but I also see people maybe that won't be traveling until next year that want to keep like a little Italian connection going.
I think we're going to see our regulars from September.
Me too. Well, that's when they always came, right?
Yeah, well, that's the big time anyway, but I don't see, I don't know. I saw foreigners out today. It's Spanish and French. I heard them speaking, and they might be traveling. As soon as the beaches open up, which will be the 15th of May, I mean, Italy's so beautiful by the sea. People are going to come. I can't see them not coming to Italy.
No, they have to. I mean, it's people are just waiting, But yeah, I think most people, if not September, then everyone's going to next May. They've already got it booked,
And I think also travelers, it's sort of like us that, when you're more confined to not going to a lot of places, you discover, in what is around you. And what is amazing of this whole country, in very small spaces, there is so much to see. There are all the little towns, and let's say people in the area of Rome, have rediscovered their province. The same with the Tuscans. You're getting to know more of your own territory instead of, hopping on a plane and going to the Maldives. They, go to their.
Yeah, I think it was interesting too that the director of the Uffizi has, taken some of those pieces. I mean, they have more art in the basement, right, than they do in the museum.
Did you
and
see that program?
Out in Tuscany for to do like a treasure hunt almost to get people out of the city. I don't think it's going to eliminate crowds at the Uffizi, but I think it might make people slow down and visit small, like you're saying, smaller towns as well.
Well, there's the whole area of the Val d'Orcia. I mean,
Gorgeous.
There's one town, well, Radicofani is one, what's the other? But there's one town there's a tiny street, two churches facing each other, and there's 3 in one church and 2 in another of these enormous Della Robbia ceramic pieces. The churches are open. No, people are just wandering in and out. There's so many of these places to go to with incredible treasures.
And I do think that that churches have always had some of the best art.
Yeah, well, they're the ones that commissioned it more.
Exactly. So there's all these things you may not even know about, but the churches themselves, whenever I go to Sicily, I'm totally in love with all that Baroque artwork.
Yeah, which is so different from here.
It's like a wedding cake on the inside. They may look very plain on the outside. When you go inside, that's where all the money went. It's just fabulous.
Well, it was also a display of wealth because every family had their chapel and they had to sort of outdo each other by who decorated.
I always call it paying for your sins.
Yeah.
I went to Catholic school for too long. It's like, well, let me buy you a gold chalice. Let me buy you a Della Robbia. Oh, you're going to buy your way into heaven. Yeah. But like Certaldo too, the old city hall and all the Della Robbias on the outside that were the family stems are.
I know it's amazing. That's another. Are they going to do that medieval dinner there this
You know,
year?
they haven't announced that yet, but I don't think that's kind of like too tight. But last summer, so I live in outside on the hill of a little village called Certaldo, where the man who wrote Boccaccia came from. And what was interesting, it was during the plague, right? When everyone fled from Florence, and there's several castles out here where rich families came and kind of hid out and lived during the plague.
It was
So
the COVID lockdown.
it was the lot of the pre-COVID lockdown. And so what they did that was really good is our mayor has been really fabulous. He came on like daily giving announcements of what's going on, but they also did, they did a new like Boccaccio Decameron. And they had people send in their stories and they printed a book.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I thought that was really fabulous, you know. And our village has become really famous for like having weddings in the old city hall, which is a castle with the frescoes and the Della Robbias everywhere. And I think one of the photographers from Girtaldo just won as the wedding photographer of the year. So it's been a really, he's working to make it a destination. And last summer they made an outdoor movie theater behind the castle.
Yeah, I saw that. I never
So you
got
could
there.
wear your mask if you went with friends, and if you're with your husband or whatever, you didn't have to wear your mask, and the seats were all spaced out. And that was really fabulous, really. It was like Cinema Paradiso.
No, but the wonderful thing about Certaldo is that once you get within the walls, I mean, it's all there. It's very safe for people that have children and are traveling.
And I like they have so many small piazzas, and they have a little place for the kids to play. There's like 2 little parks, I think.
No, it's adorable, and they do such a good job every year. Well, not last year, for the Boccaccio dinner. I mean, that's really
That's fabulous.
music dinner.
And that's
I think it's
that's under
fabulous.
control. That's something they could probably do with half the people,
Mm.
right? So if you didn't have everyone sitting on top
Surely,
of
because
everybody.
it's super packed.
Yeah, we have to be just like a restaurant now that has 60 people can maybe only have 20, depending on how they come. But you know,
Although they'd have to see if it's worth their while to do all that.
exactly,
trouble.
exactly. And then there's the people in the costumes, and will everybody be vaccinated? So it's a hard call. I bet they won't do anything big like that. But and then the art festival and that's too big. I think that would have like 5,000 people in the packed in the city in those tight spaces. But it'll get back to normal. I think everyone's working towards that, and everyone's on the whole being pretty good. I think some people are kind of fed up to hear you see
Well, I
kids around
see a
without masks.
lot of the cities that, I mean, the squares at night are getting crowded by kids because they're fed up.
Mhm.
They don't want to stay in anymore. They don't want any restrictions. They don't want any curfews.
Mhm.
And, and it's really, I'm very worried about, especially the city of Florence, that how many establishments, how many businesses will be able to reopen. Because
Based
I
on
think
the
you're going to
seating, yeah.
see a lot of them which are simply not going to start up again, because what's been lost in a year is devastating. And even with these new COVID rules, I know from having had a restaurant for so many years, you have to do a certain amount of turnover to be able to pay your expenses. And still it's so, the rents are still so expensive. I don't know if people will be really able to get back on their feet. And I think we're going to see a lot of, even more globalization, big companies taking over spaces that were Florentine. I mean, we've been seeing that in the last 10 years, but I think we're going to notice it when things get back to normal. And that worries me.
Yeah, I can't see how it's going to work, because I know the restaurants were having so much trouble. I said, yes, you can open, but only this many people, and then they'd go and they say, no, you can't. We decided you can't open tomorrow on this big holiday. And
that was terrible. That was terrible.
And to order the food, you have to order your food, and then you buy it, and then you can't sell. Oh, it's going to be hard to come out of it. But I just pray for everybody, really. Same thing out here in Chianti. I'm just waiting to kind of, update my Chianti guide to see who's still here and who's opening, who's closing, who could survive. Because even if they were going to give you a loan, you still have to pay that back.
Yeah,
It's not
and
really a
you know,
help.
once you've lost money, you never earn
Gone.
it back.
That's gone. It's
It's
gone.
gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll have to see. And definitely, I think in this year, a lot of habits of people have changed, and people have less money to spend on going out and dinners and
Yeah, I mean,
lunches.
Florence too, and Tuscany is such a huge tourist town that a lot of people, and like you and me, we work with tourists and only
Absolutely.
like 6 months out of the year. So it was already really a part-time job. And so that's been really hard. So when do you feel like you could start would you do cooking classes again? You gonna start those again, real ones?
Oh, I would be available anytime. All you have to do is ask. No.
Okay, yeah, so you've been vaccinated.
I've been vaccinated where it would be fine to start off cooking classes. In the meantime, I've been doing a little cooking I've been my own little takeout business.
That's
With
great.
friends for a few meals, which also keeps me occupied and fun and thinking of new things to make.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to stop now with the Facebook Live. Let me find out where that went right now, and then we'll stay on Zoom. Stop live stream. So thank you, Sharon, and
Judy.
I can't wait till I can see you again. Get back in real life.
Well,
Aperitivo's, come on, we got to get back to.
Not too far away.
Yeah, I
And if
really
you
think so.
and Jaya come in, you can come in and sleep over. No,
It'll be a slumber party. That'll be
slumber
great.
party.
Yeah, he got his first shot yesterday, and he's getting his last shot at the end of the month.
Which
Just
is
to be
bad.
sure. And
Yeah.
also, he's got a bad knee, so he has to go to the doctor for that. So it's kind of been nice downtime to like take care of ourselves also and do all the checkups. I had the little operation on my leg, and so it kind of just feels like it was a little time. And now we're going to have our renaissance, our rebirth, and recharged and ready to go. And hopefully too, when people come back, they'll take more time and take things maybe a little slower and go a little deeper, right?
A little deeper, and I think also there's going to be a lot of people that will be proposing things that will go deeper.
Uh-huh.
That to not do the run of the mill, the ordinary things to do in Florence. There's so many things that you can discover here that
Well,
people
things
just
that
don't
really
do.
locals know. And like I said, I mean, I think the first tours I ever did, like my week-long programs, I just based us in Florence for 5 days and just did one day out in Chianti. And now so many times you're out and about doing things, but no one's taking that time again in Florence and 1 week is not even enough to scratch the surface in Florence, right?
No, it isn't. But you can't do it much longer because there's so much in this very small city that I think it's overwhelming. You need to take a break. That's why it's wonderful to do the cooking with the visits
touring.
and everything, because you need downtime, because you get brain overload with all the magnificent things that are here. You need time.
Stendhal syndrome, right?
Really, you just have to stop. And I always say to people, wherever you are, in a museum, in a church, and you get that very tired feeling, stop and go out and have an aperitivo, a nice big spritz or whatever, and that's the end of your day. Because if not, you can't absorb it.
Exactly. Okay, so thank you so much. And I'm going to save this, and it'll be on YouTube. And I'll put your contacts on the YouTube link. Okay.
Thank you, Judy.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you here.
I hope so.